James Coburn finally speaks up about Robert Mitchum. James Coburn was born James Harrison Coburn III on August 31st of 1928 in Laurel, Nebraska, a small town in the Midwest that didn't seem like it would produce one of Hollywood's most unique screen actors. Coburn grew up amid the tough times of the Great Depression. His early life was marked by instability, hard work, and a strong feeling of independence. His father ran a garage business, while his mother encouraged his curiosity and creativity. Coburn had very bad rheumatoid arthritis as a child. This disease would bother him for most of his life, and eventually affect both his work choices and his personal philosophy. These early struggles didn't break him. Instead, they taught him to be strong, humble, and appreciate perseverance, all of which would later define his performances. Coburn joined the U.S. Army after graduating from high school and drove trucks during the Korean War. His time in the military made him even more tough and confident, which would become hallmarks of his on-screen character. After his service, he went to college and studied acting at Los Angeles City College and later at San Diego State College. During this time, Coburn not only found his love for acting, but he also learned that he could get people's attention with very little dialogue. He improved his skills by working on stage and taking acting workshops, including time at the famous Hedro Theater in Pennsylvania, where discipline and sincerity were more important than showy performances. Coburn's early career was established methodically through television, especially westerns, which were quite popular in the 1950s. He was in well-known shows like Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Have Gun, Will Travel, and The Rifleman. These parts, even though they were mostly supporting, helped him develop his unique style, which was cool, modest, and effortlessly charming. Coburn didn't use theatrical bravado like a lot of actors of the time. Instead, he showed strength by stillness and intelligence through subtlety. Casting directors instantly saw that he added a new twist to classic Western characters. In 1960, he had his big break in The Magnificent Seven, when he played Britt, the knife-throwing gunslinger. His calm precision and quiet confidence created a lasting effect on spectators. Coburn's performance stuck out even though he wasn't the main character. It showed that a new kind of movie star had arrived, one who didn't need to dominate the screen to own it. This part made him a very busy and important actor in the 1960s and 1970 seconds, when he became known for being cool and rebellious against the establishment. Coburn became one of the most important people in Hollywood during the counterculture era in the 1960s. He was in famous movies including The Great Escape, 1963, Charade 1963, Our Man Flint 1966, in including Flint 1967, and The President's Analyst 1967. His performance as Secret Agent Derek Flint was a spoof of the James Bond type, but it also changed the type by mixing satire, physicality, and self-awareness. Coburn's Flint was smooth and funny, and he was good at what he did, but also found it funny. This was a reflection of Coburn's inherent charm and intelligence. Coburn took up more complicated and morally gray roles as Hollywood changed in the 1970s. He was in movies including Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, 1973, Cross of Iron 1977, and Duck, You Sucker 1971. These performances showed how deep he was as an actor, showing that he could exhibit disappointment, wisdom, and quiet thoughtfulness. Coburn never seemed to care about traditional stardom, unlike many of his peers. He didn't choose roles based on how much money they would make him. Instead, he chose roles that interested him intellectually or broke the rules of movies. Even though he was successful, Coburn's career was often interrupted by severe rheumatoid arthritis, which made it hard for him to move his hands and walk. At times, he had severe discomfort and couldn't work as much for years. He stayed out of the public eye in the late 1980s and early 1990s, but once again, his strength won out. Coburn went back to acting with fresh energy after finding an alternative treatment that greatly improved his health. He gave some of the best performances of his latter career. In 1999, he received the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his part as the abusive, controlling father in Affliction. This was the high point of his victorious return. The portrayal was visceral, scary, and very genuine, showing an emotional depth that put to rest any reservations about his range as an actor. The Oscar was more than just an award. It was a sign of years of hard work, dedication, and creative honesty. Coburn was working steadily in his latter years. He appeared in movies including Payback 1999, Snow Dogs 2002, and Monsters, Inc. 2001, where he portrayed the gruff but adorable Henry J. Water-Noose. His voice work was also quite recognizable, warm, authoritative, and full of character. James Coburn's personal life, like his on-screen persona, was full of loyalty, depth, and a calm feeling of commitment. This was very different from the gruff, lonely roles he typically played in movies. He was married twice, and each marriage was a significant part of his life. In 1959, Coburn married Beverly Kelly. At the time, his acting career was still getting off the ground. They established a life together away from the spotlight of Hollywood, raising 2 kids and being married for almost 20 years. During those years, Coburn went from being a promising character actor to a world-famous celebrity. He had long shoots, traveled a lot, and dealt with the stress of fame. Coburn was dedicated to his family even though his job kept him busy. He valued stability and seclusion over the excesses of fame. Coburn and Kelly divorced in 1979 after 20 years of marriage. This ended a long partnership that had a big impact on his adult life and his rise to fame. Coburn fell in love again with actress Paula Merritt years later. On October 22, 1993, the pair got married in a lovely ceremony in Versailles, France. A beautiful and meaningful place that showed how strong their relationship was. They had a strong emotional bond, common ideals, and respect for each other. Murad was there for Coburn until the last years of his life, even while he was having major health problems. He was always there for him and was a good friend. Coburn and Murad were both dedicated to giving back. In addition to being happy, they worked together to start the James and Paula Coburn Foundation, a charity that helps causes that are important to them. Coburn's charitable work showed how kind he was and how much he wanted to make a lasting, good difference after his famous film career. The couple stayed together until James Coburn died in 2002. This was the end of a chapter in their lives that was full of love, partnership, and a shared sense of purpose. For many years, people asked James Coburn about the men who influenced his career and view of Hollywood. Robert Mitchum was a name that kept coming up in the background, like a half-told story. Coburn only started to talk more openly about the actor he adored, feared, and eventually regarded as one of the most real people Hollywood ever made later in life. Coburn once thought about how he felt about Mitchum at first, with a mix of fear and respect. You could tell right away when Robert Mitchum stepped into a room. He didn't say who he was. And oh, need to. The air altered. You knew this was a guy who did things his own way. Coburn thought that Mitchum was a real man from a time in Hollywood when men were real and not made up or rehearsed. He was unrefined, instinctual, and completely disinterested in participating in the industry's games. Coburn says that Mitchum's reputation for being tough was well-deserved but very wrong. Coburn said that many felt Robert was violent or lazy because he didn't leap when studios told him to. But that wasn't being lazy, that was freedom. He wouldn't fake. Mitchum was both loved and feared because he didn't care about what people thought of him. In an industry where image and compliance are important, this made him both loved and feared. Coburn also talked about Mitchum's acting approach, which he thought was decades ahead of its time. Bob didn't act like he was acting. He was just there in front of the camera. He claimed that terrified a lot of people because you couldn't see how he did it, but it was all there. He merely hid it behind being still. Coburn thought Mitchum's minimalism was a lesson in self-control, showing that silence may be stronger than long speeches. Coburn said that Mitchum had a warm side. Even if he looked tough, he had a bad sense of humor. Coburn remembered, it was dry as the desert. If Bob liked you, he didn't say nice things about you. He made fun of you. And if he made fun of you, you knew you were in. Coburn thought Mitchum's sense of humor was a barrier that protected a man who didn't trust celebrity but knew what it meant. Coburn also talked about Mitchum's problems with the Hollywood system. Bob didn't hate movies, he remarked. He hated hypocrisy. He saw how studios chewed people up and smiled while tightening the leash. Coburn appreciated Mitchum's ability to stay true to himself, even when his career was in danger of being ruined by controversy. Coburn admitted that Mitchum had an impact on how he acted and lived his life. He thought about how watching Bob taught him that you don't have to grovel for approval. You come up, do your job honestly, and let the rest take care of itself. That idea stayed with Coburn throughout his career, and it helped him create the movie persona of a man who seemed effortlessly cool, but also very down-to-earth. Coburn talked with clear respect in his last thoughts. According to him, Robert Mitchum didn't want to be a legend. That's why he did it. He didn't give in. He didn't say he was sorry, and he didn't pretend to be sorry at all. There aren't many like that in Hollywood anymore. James Coburn didn't break his silence about Robert Mitchum to tell secrets. It was about paying tribute to a man who stood for truth in an industry based on lies. Coburn came to the conclusion that Bob was genuine and real lasts. On November 18, 2002, James Coburn, the Academy Award-winning actor famed for his rough charm, casual composure, and unique voice, died of a heart attack at his home in Beverly Hills. He was 74 years old. Coburn's abrupt death stunned the entertainment world because he was still working and making movies and TV shows even in his latter years. Paula, his wife, said that the time he died was very personal and very sad. He died in her arms as they were doing one of their favorite things, listening to music together at home. This particular detail showed the soft side of a man who was frequently known on television for his tough guy parts and stern manner. It gave viewers a look at the private warmth and vulnerability that marked his life off-screen. After the heart attack, Coburn was transported to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, a famous hospital recognized for its excellent care and history of treating famous people. Even though he got help right away and was taken to the hospital right away, he was declared dead shortly after arriving. This ended a career that had lasted more than 50 years and made a lasting effect on Hollywood. His death brought up a flood of condolences from coworkers, acquaintances, and admirers alike, all of whom praised his acting range and the gentle kindness he offered to others. Coburn's impact includes not just his great roles in classic movies like was known for his roles in The Magnificent Seven and Affliction, as well as for being smart, funny, and calm, which influenced younger actors. Sadly, his family had to deal with the grief of losing him. Paula, James Coburn's wife, died of cancer on July 30, 2004, just a few months after he did. She was 48 years old at the time. Their marriage was full of love, support, and common interests, but it was cut short for both of them. Their deaths left behind a legacy of love and loyalty, as well as sadness. The intimacy of their relationship was clear when Coburn died in her arms, and Paula's own death showed how strong their tie was. It was a reminder of how fragile people really are beneath the larger-than-life personas that Hollywood often celebrates. Coburn's death also made people think about how short life is, especially for people who are famous, rich, and well-known. It showed how important personal relationships are, and how quiet, uncelebrated moments like listening to music with a loved one are equally as important as public achievements. People remember James and Paula Coburn not only for their careers and contributions, but also for the deep, real love they had for each other. Fans and friends will always remember them as an amazing actor and a couple whose bond went beyond death.